cunts, don't forget to click the subscribe button.
I find out they're motivated. If they're not motivated, I don't look at anything. I'm not interested. So I will ask the you in the deal. I want a summary of the financials. Now, not a proper gap summary. Summary of the financials means the following. Top line revenue.
Yeah.
Top line revenue. Got this, Doc? Okay. Just imagine if you had done this, Doc. Okay. By the way, I explained this to Doc 2 or 3 times in the last seminar as well. Okay. Top line revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. The expenses, you come up with a gross number. You're not going to use that gross number. You're going to come up with a gross number, and you want it after tax, in this country, before tax number. Because in this country, they follow, and I'm not sure why, before tax, whereas in most of the rest of the world, they want to know after tax, after income tax, what is the number. So you come up with a number, and let's say that number is a million.
Right, and before
In
tax.
this country,
so you had
before.
10 million of revenue and $1 million of before tax.
Okay. And roughly speaking, I add between 40 and 60% of that number on top of it to come up with a cash flow number.
Okay, so
for $1 million, we're going to have between $1.4 million and $1.6 million cash flow EBITDA.
Okay, all right. That's what EBITDA will end up being.
Correct. Before you do all the calculations.
That's because of all the amortization.
Correct, and the depreciation.
It'll add back that much.
Correct.
So you're talking about 1.6 million of cash flow to serve it.
1.4 to 1.6.
Okay.
Okay. So just say it's 1.5.
Okay.
That's a good enough for an MIT number. 1.5.
Right. Okay.
So now that 1.5, how many times that are you going to pay? And in this industry, they're paying between 3 and 5 times EBITDA. Right. Tony in the other room was just explaining how they're trying to sell their business, and he got offered 3.4 times EBITDA. And both of them parents started laughing because the kid is a young Harvard MBA that works for a big family office. And so he's trying to buy their business, and he seller finance, same bullshit. But he said they should be required to put in 30% seller finance. So they asked me, if you were the buyer of our business, what would you say? I'd say I'd start 100% seller finance. I always start 100%, and I fall back to 50. So let's say we're going to pay 4 times EBITDA. So we're going to pay what? $3 million.
Yeah,
6 million.
So
$6 million.
Okay. Now, and for the debt service, what would you feel comfortable?
Okay. I use 5%. I realize the interest rates, but 5. Okay. Let's say that you're going to borrow. Let's see how much money is that? $6 million. So it's going to be. Let's say you're going to try to borrow $7 or $8 million at 5%. Let's call it $7 million. That's $350,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's $30,000 a month. 3, 12. Yeah, $30,000 a month, roughly speaking. Okay, so you have to be able to handle at least $30,000 a month in interest.
Right.
Okay, now you've got cash flow 1.6. So you've got 4 times.
Yeah.
This is a deal that you're buying it for 3 or 4 times, and that means your debt service is easy.
No brainer.
Yeah. Now, a banker, if they have to take this away to a committee, the bankers are brain dead. But that's how they're trained.
Right.
But any banker can look at that and say it's a done deal.
What about 2 times?
What?
If cash
2 times is great.
Okay.
But they will lend up to 1.15 times.
Wow.
But we don't want to do that because we're shitty managers.
Too tight. 1.15.
Yeah, that's too close.
Okay.
IBM borrows money at 1.001. But that's IBM.
Right. For us, the max you want us to go is 2?
No, 1.5 and up.
Okay.
I want to
on numbers that are credible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And you always overfinance. 6 million. You ask for the 7.
No. Yeah. Well, you may not get. We may only get an overfinance of a small portion, but I always ask, just like the $6 million deal, I would ask for $7 million.
Mm-hmm. But they know it's valued at 6, and you say, I want to finance it at 7.
No. All they're seeing is you're willing to pay a higher EBITDA. They don't think they, if they do, they don't tell you. Because overfinance is an ugly word in the banking world.
Yeah.
But they'll just think, well, this pisshead is willing to pay up. They don't realize that paying up is because so we can have $1 million extra. Now, if they catch on, and I'm not saying that because we're doing something wrong, they may say, half of that extra million has got to be working capital.
And they structure that as that separate loan for working
Correct.
capital, which will have a higher interest rate?
But yes,
Okay.
yeah.
What if the bank just wants to give you 70% LTV?
Okay, well then you got to have at least 35% seller finance.
Sure. But then with over financing, it's just not.
No, 70% LTV,
Right.
and you get 50% seller finance.
Okay.
You over finance it by 20%.
Sure. Okay.
And that's the trend. The banks are liking those deals lately.
Yeah, about half, 1 and 2 banks, our experience, and we're a good barometer.
Yeah, you don't.
That they will accept seller finance as seller's equity. And remember, use the word equity.
Equity, yeah.
Use the word equity. And 2, that you're going to overfinance it, or to them you're just paying a higher multiple. They don't look at it as overfinanced.
Okay. And they like 25 to 40% seller's equity. You're finding they.
No. What I'm finding that the kids work best are only buying 60 to 75% of the business, leaving 25 to 40% of the business with
The seller.
the seller, because they keep them in line.
Right.
Keep the gypsies in line.
Well, it's an earn-out.
What?
As an earn-out.
Yeah. Well, no. They may just keep it.
Right.
So you're only going to buy 60% of the business.
Right.
No, you can add another onion layer by saying it's going to earn out.
Yeah.
But they're staying, and the bigger the deals, the more they like the sellers staying in the deal. The bigger the deals.
The banks do.
The banks do. They're correct. And but you got to control cash flow.
That's the key.
Right.
That's the key. If you don't control cash flow, then it's a pissing match every month.
Yes.
And when you control cash flow, and at 60%, now one guy tried a few months ago, 51%. And so the guy, why should I let you control cash flow when you only have 1% more than I do? So, but 60, and that's why I believe, although the kids don't admit this to me, they fall back to the 75% because it's easier to convince the seller to control cash flow when you have 3/4 of the business,
Right.
not 60%.
Right.
But
And they can.
the 60 number is pretty damn good. It's a great number for us. And but the banks love the owners staying on.
And with this
And for SBA in America, they don't allow earnouts. So, but you can buy less than 100% of a business.
And with the overfinancing, in that case, so it basically means the bank really likes the deal. We have some track record. That probably wouldn't happen initially.
No,
Yeah.
because you don't have any track.
Yeah, right.
You have the track record to get in the door because you've got your board.
Right.
Okay? Like the gal that's got the ex-president of Bulgaria, she's got to really do something fucked up to not, I don't know about $1 billion. How much is it? But anyway, but she's got to really fuck it up because, I mean, they're turning over, I think, they're turning over confidential information to the fucking government about who to buy. He just calls in a favor, and then plus she's got the ex-minister of health. Fuck. And it's just, I almost didn't say it. And I just said it, and she wrote it down. And it happened. She says it took me 40 or 50 phone calls. So you're complaining now. It took me 40 or 50 phone calls. It doesn't hurt. She's a good-looking bitch, too, though. That doesn't hurt. You're a good-looking bitch, and you can't make this work. Something's fucked up. The girl, the highest-paid escort on the planet, I mean, she looks like in a movie, like a Pretty Woman or something like that. And she finds that they just fall over left, right, and center. I told you that was going to be the case. Even if you're an ugly slag, guys are normally more polite. I'm not. But you were raised to, I was raised to hold the door open for a woman and all that shit. The guys are just nicer to the gals. Nicer to the gals.
Is it concern of rule of law in Bulgaria, or someone taking all your assets away, or
No.
getting waxed?
No. When you got the ex-president, there is a rule of law.
Okay, right.
And he's a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is ex-president dangerous
yeah.
in some of those communist
Yeah,
countries?
sure it is. And I'm putting your name on the hit list.
I mean, Russia.
You're a Bulgarian by osmosis.
I got Bulgarian ties,
Yeah.
but they assassinate people in Bulgaria. I mean, the Russians are
the poorest
killing
country.
those guys there.
Yeah.
There's weird, shady stuff going on. which I
Yeah,
guess-
well, they're in Hungary.
but they're EU as well.
Little Peter, I mean, who wouldn't, say shit if it was in his mouth. I mean, they said it was impossible for him to do deals without bribing and shit. And Hungary's maybe a little bit better than Bulgaria, but not much. Those Eastern Bloc countries, not everybody didn't want to be Russian, And some of the older people that I've talked to, and this was a long time ago, we had it better. Who's the guy that used to run Romania and
Ceausescu.
yeah,
We killed him on Christmas Day.
yeah, but I mean, how bad was life? But if you were on the good end of
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
everything was terrific.
If you're against the regime, Poland was for you.
Yeah, yeah.
So does Peter have to grease the wheel?
No. But his board doesn't want to leave Hungary because there are kings there.
Opportunity.
Yeah, and they're going to be, maybe not this year, but next year they will be the biggest provider of healthcare to hospitals in the whole country. My fear is Peter's going to not going to be president or some shit. And because I won't say he can do no wrong there, but he's pretty close to being in a position that he can't do any wrong. He's the fair-haired boy. He's the poster child of business now. A poor kid, no money, dad's an engineer, mother's a teacher, okay? Now the second largest provider of healthcare in the country, and I'm pretty sure he'll be the first in the next year or two. But, he's entertaining offers of $1 billion fund, €1 billion fund. €1 billion.
We had a question.
From 30,000 euros a year. That's
Which is still good for Hungary.
Huh?
Which is still good.
Oh,
for
is it
Hungary.
still good?
Yeah, for
Okay.
Hungary it's still good.
Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
so he was having a good life, I'm sure. Yeah.
Question about home care versus assisted
Assisted living, yeah.
He's looking at both business models in Cape Town. Just wondered about pitfalls of
Well,
each.
home care is the easiest around the world because you have no buildings, you have no assets,
Right.
you have a little office,
Right.
and you send out subcontractors. And so that's the easiest, and it's got the biggest margins. That's what Josh now does. Okay.
But hardest, sometimes you can't retain staff.
Oh yeah.
They cut side deals,
Correct. They cut side deals.
Abuse, yeah.
Corruption is even in the United States. Corruption is rampant. But corruption is rampant. If you have 10% corruption in America, you've got 40%. You'll have 40% corruption in South Africa or other places. But that corruption is normally you can't be on the phone all the time, but you can monitor phone calls. You can. When we are in third world countries, we have cameras right over their fucking head, so we can see their screen. We can see, and if they get up from their screen, why are you getting up? They got a guy with a bullhorn. Why are you getting up, bros? And every morning they used to have to check in like this eye recognition. There are ways to control this. No, but some guys just operate 20% theft rule. They're going to steal 20%. And it's going to cost you 20% to keep that 20% down to 5%. So why not just let them steal? I don't think it that way.
Sure.
I don't look at it that way. Home health is the easiest.
Yeah.
The next easiest, none of them are easy, is assisted living. And that means you have, like a place like this, they'd have 6 people in beds. There'd be one that had a bedroom by themselves, and there'd be